Hi everyone, this is just a short video about how to make the skills section on your resume go from good to great. So we're going to start out by talking about the general rules for how to make a great skills section. Right here, I have a few examples of skills sections that need work. So first thing I want to include is that you don't want to talk about interests or soft or interpersonal skills. So you can see in both of these examples, one of them has interests. So we don't want to include interests on there. Those are well suited for talking about them in interviews or talking about them with your new boss or your new team. But they are not suited for your resume. In terms of interpersonal skills or soft skills, you usually do not want to include these on your resume unless you're having trouble filling your resume up. You need more stuff to put on it. That's the only time you would want to include those. Second, make sure that everything is ordered and grouped into similar categories. So these are grouped into similar categories here. But you can see here that we have C++ next to French, next to teamwork. So at least try and group similar things together in a similar order. Number 3, make sure that spelling and capitalization is correct among your skills section. So here, MATLAB and SolidWorks are not capitalized correctly, but they are here. So make sure you get that capitalization correct. And number 4, this is more so a tip than a do or don't. I recommend putting your skills into sections. So here you have some nice sections. This is not a valid section to use, but these are sections that you could use. And here, it can get a little bit messy, so it's a little bit disordered. Putting these things into sections really helps to clarify your resume and make it a little bit more coherent. So let's go into now a few examples of the different categories that you could use. I'm going to go through these rather quickly, but feel free to stop and pause the video if you want to see examples of the different platforms, the different skills that you can put into these categories. Computer applications, programming languages, platforms or operating systems, software, which is pretty similar to computer applications, laboratory skills, engineering skills, CAD, languages, special categories. And in special categories, you can pretty much make up your own category name and put different elements of that category behind it. And interpersonal skills. And as I mentioned before, interpersonal skills only should be used if you need to fill your resume up. So this is recommended only for first-year undergraduate students. If you're beyond that, you should likely not be using this on your resume. Let's now go into examples of some really great skills sections. So this is a beginner example of a skills section. You can notice how it's very similar to the one we saw on the first slide. However, now we have correct capitalization. Things are ordered in a coherent and nice order. So we have computer programs here, and we also have languages back here with a description behind them. Skills can also be bulleted out like this in no particular order. This is also an option, but we do recommend putting things into categories, as you will see on the next slide. This is an example for the engineering disciplines you see up here. You can see that everything is into categories. It looks nice and clean. And the titles are bolded, which is another thing that we recommend you do. This is an example for the engineering disciplines shown here. And this is an example of the proficient and exposure methods. So if you want to divide up your skills into a section like this, that is also completely fine. So if you say, oh, I'm really, really great at MATLAB and Python and SolidWorks, but I don't have so much experience in C++ and PTC Creo, you can go ahead and divide up your skills section that way. Another way to do this is to actually make different categories for your skills section, but then you say, oh, I don't have the most experience in PTC Creo. I'm going to go ahead and put the word exposure next to it so that the employer knows that, yes, this person has experience, however, they don't have the most experience. Last section we're going to go over is adding languages to your resume. So you can see here that we have the different categories of software and engineering, but we also have languages. And as I mentioned earlier, you can put any language down here, but it has to be followed by a descriptive word. So these descriptive words describe your fluency relative to the language. And these are a few options. You have fluent and spoken and written, native, conversant, and then your different levels. So advanced, intermediate, or novice. So that was the end of our short video about how to really liven up the skills section on your resume. Go ahead and look at our bio for methods to contact us and our resume handout. If you have any questions, go ahead and use the contact method in that bio. Thanks for watching.